Hello, grade threes. I hope you guys are doing well. As you guys know, today is our grammar lesson. Before I continue, I just want to remind you guys, or tell you guys, that I haven't forgotten about the poll that we did the other day. Most of you guys, the majority at least, voted for grammar that they were struggling in, or wanted a bit more assistance. So I think over the weekend I'll try to compile, a bit of a video or PowerPoint or something or maybe a Word document, whatever it may be, to kind of briefly give descriptions on as much grammar as I can just to help you guys out a bit. But with that said, let's get into today's lesson. So today we are going to look at verb tenses. Pretty simple, guys. I think you guys won't have a problem. Okay, so today I want to introduce the idea of the verb tense. And the way I want to do that is to express the following. If you can master grammatical tenses, it will greatly improve your speech and writing. So tense is nothing more than the ability of verbs to situate themselves in time, specifically in three different times. So the past, the present, or the future. So when we're talking about a verb can happen now, right? A verb can happen later, and a verb can have happened in the past, then. So let's look at a quick example. Say talk. So I talk. In the future, we would change to I will talk, and in the past, I talked. So that's just a brief introduction so far. But great, guys. Let's quickly look at each tense. So welcome to the present tense. The present tense is how we talk about things that are happening in the present moment. Like, I eat a sandwich. I eat a sandwich. So if I say it that way, it means it's happening right now in the present, as opposed to happening later in the future or before now in the past. Another example would be the water is super cold. It's super cold right now. And a sort of way you can kind of tell if it's in the present is if you just add right now to the end of the sentence. So if I say, I eat a sandwich right now. The water is super cold right now. So that kind of makes sense. So present tense verbs often end with S. For verbs that end in Y, change the Y to an I and add ES. But we'll look more into that just in a bit. Right, so moving on, let's talk about the past tense. As you can see, there's some cavemen. So the past tense refers to stuff that has already happened, right? So it's stuff that has already happened. There are many ways to form the past tense, but for now, I just want to focus on the basic version, which is just adding ed. So if we take a word like walk, as in, I walk to the store, so that's in present tense. That's happening right now. But if I wanted to put that in the past tense, I would say, I walked to the store. So I took the verb and I added ed. So that's the past tense. More examples would be, talk, talked, jump, jumped. So pretty easy, guys, and let's move on. So in the future tense, we use the word will. In the future tense, we use the word will. So in the present tense, you'd say, I eat this cupcake, right? So in the future tense, to talk about stuff that's happening later. So it's quite literally, the future. So in the present tense, you'd say, I eat this cupcake. That's present tense. But if we were going to say it in the future, you haven't eaten the cupcake yet, you're going to eat it in the future, you would say, I will eat this cupcake. So like I said, we use the future tense to talk about stuff that's happening later. Quite literally in the future, so it's later. So the most common way to form the future tense is to make a sentence in the present tense and then before the verb, just stick will in there. Pretty self-explanatory, guys. I'm sure you guys have touched on this a little bit in the past. So yeah, that is basically tenses, guys. Past, present, and future. Just before we carry on, I want to go through what the book says about it in your Journey's Common Core. Maybe it'll help you guys understand from a different point of view. So right, grammar. Verb tenses. A verb's tense shows when action takes place. Present tense shows action happening now. Present tense verbs that tell about he, she, or it often end with s. For verbs that end in y, change the y to an I and add es. Right, so past tense shows action that has happened. Past tense verbs often end with ed. For verbs that end with e, drop the e and add ed. So you basically just add a d. For verbs that end in y, change the y to an I and add ed. For verbs that end with a vowel and one consonant, double the consonant before adding ed. So that's a bit, probably a bit too confusing for you guys. For the past tense, just focus on ed. If the word ends with the e already, just add the d. The future tense shows action that will happen. The word will before a verb shows future tense. So present tense would be drop, past would be dropped, and future will drop. Likewise, study, studied, will study, and smile, smiled, will smile. An incorrect verb tense can confuse your readers. Think about an action that you want to write about, then decide when it should happen. Check that you have used the correct tense to show present, past, or future actions. So, right, future tense, Greg will stir the bread mix. Present tense, Greg stirs the mix for 3 minutes. Past tense, Greg is glad he stirred the bread so well. So you can kind of understand why using the wrong tense would confuse your reader. It wouldn't make it grammatically correct and it would just be confusing. But great guys, that's the end of the video. I think this week's grammar was relatively easy. Like always, send me a message if you're still a bit confused. I've attached a worksheet for you guys to complete. But other than that, I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Have a great day further.